Hi, it's Alaska Granny. The pandemic from the coronavirus and the COVID-19 has certainly put a change in the way that we're allowed to seek medical care. You can't just go to the doctor's office. You're not allowed to go to the emergency room. In some areas, you have to go several days ahead and have a COVID-19 test before you can even come to an appointment at the doctor's office. My little grandson was sick and they were only allowed to bring him to a tent where someone came out to the car to look at him, and then they had to take him miles away to another place before they would actually look at him. We need to address the concerns that medical care is not readily available because of the pandemic. Now most medical appointments are telehealth, where you're talking over a computer screen rather than being seen in person. So it's very important that we pay extra attention to the details and have the supplies to take care of our basic medical needs. We can't just run out to the doctor like we could in the past. So the first thing you need to do to ensure that you have the things you need is a well-stocked first aid kit. Many of us buy a first aid kit and we occasionally go to it, take out supplies and use it when we have minor emergencies around our home. Maybe we have one in the car, and we have also raided that when we've gone out with our family and someone needs a Band-Aid or something out of our first aid kit. But it's very important that you take an inventory of your kit and make sure that there are no outdated or missing supplies. Here's a detailed list of the things that should be in every first aid kit, and most of us probably are familiar with what those items are, but read over the list and quickly jot down if there are missing items that you need. In addition to the standard first aid supplies, I made a list of forgotten first aid supplies, things that aren't on the list that I think are critically important that we have on hand to meet the medical needs and the first aid emergency needs within our family. The first item is a mask and gloves. Masks and gloves are required nearly everywhere now, and if we do want to render first aid, we need to absolutely be sure that we're using the personal protective equipment. Hand sanitizer is the next forgotten first aid supply, and it's been very hard to find since the beginning of this COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic. With a second wave coming, we need to make sure that we have the hand sanitizer, and if you cannot find it, find the items that you can mix together to make your own hand sanitizer, which would be aloe vera gel and rubbing alcohol or isopropyl alcohol. I'll put a link to a video I made on how you can combine those ingredients to make your own hand sanitizer if you're not able to find some or you eventually run out. Winter is here, along with sometimes when people have accidents, they may go into shock, and you need to make sure that they're protected and kept warm. You need to have an emergency blanket and perhaps some hand warmers. Never put the hand warmers directly onto the skin, though, of a sick or injured person. You would want to put it someplace around the core of their body, but put it on top of a layer of fabric so that you don't risk overheating one area of an injured person's body. Instant cold compresses are great. There are injuries like sprains or even bee stings when you want to ice something. I found a new kind of Band-Aid. It's not actually a Band-Aid, it's clotting gauze, and you would put the gauze square directly onto a wound and it will turn into a gel and stop the bleeding. You can also fold it and insert it into a nosebleed. Read the directions carefully, as this is a new product. Make sure you're familiar with it before you try to utilize it. I'm also a big fan of liquid Band-Aid. It comes in a little bottle. It looks sort of like nail polish, and you brush it onto a wound and it makes it waterproof. It seals it up. It can really help protect an injury better than a Band-Aid because it doesn't matter if you get it wet, it doesn't slide around, and then kids aren't necessarily going to pick it off like they might a Band-Aid. Moleskin is great if you have a blister. You take a square of the moleskin, you apply it over a blister, but read the directions carefully because you do not pull it off. You leave it on until it washes off, and it will help keep a blister sealed up so that it won't rub on your shoes, and it allows it to heal, and is an absolute necessity if you're ever going hiking, camping, backpacking, is to take along some moleskin. Add a bottle of eye drops to your first aid gear. A new product that I have with my first aid gear is a pain relief cream with lidocaine. If you have sore muscles, aches, you can put a little rub of this on and it can help ease a sore muscle, pain in your joints. It's especially handy for us older folks to have a product like this on hand in the first aid gear. A finger oximeter is a great addition. You place a finger oximeter onto your finger. It just clamps on, it's not tight like a clothespin, and it measures the oxygen level in your blood flow. That's one of the ways that we know if we need to seek medical attention, is if the oxygen levels are depleted in your bloodstream, because that means you're not getting enough oxygen, maybe you're having trouble breathing, and that's one of the symptoms that comes with the coronavirus COVID-19 is the not being able to breathe and get enough oxygen and having breathing difficulties. You might include some baby aspirin in your first aid kit. If someone's having a heart attack, chewing 4 baby aspirin can actually help save your life. You can pick up something like a 7-day pill reminder and have different medications and ointments in each little section. Whether you want to have the baby aspirin, ibuprofen, Tylenol, any of the different medications that you want to include in your first aid. Something like this pill holder is a great way to keep them separated. You can stick a little label on so that you can identify what each pill is. A few little kits might be great to add to your first aid kit. A glasses repair kit, making sure everyone can see properly in case they need to repair their glasses, could avoid an emergency. And there's also a little dental kit from Dentek that can help if you lose a filling or help with dental problems. If you have special medical needs, for example, if you're diabetic, make sure you have a backup meter, some of the batteries to go with it, fast-acting glucose, and the emergency items that you would need to face your particular medical need. Take a list of all of your prescription medications, include it with your first aid kit. So if someone has an emergency and the doctor asks, what kind of medication are you on? You have that list right there with you with your first aid gear. A blood pressure cuff might also be a great item to include with your first aid supplies. Make a list of the emergency numbers that you would need to contact in an emergency, everything from your local hospital to the poison control center to your personal doctor, pharmacy, and include a copy of your insurance information. A serious emergency is not the time to start searching for where is your medical insurance card. It's important to have a copy of the information you would need in an emergency situation spread out throughout all kinds of your different emergency gear. Your bug out bag, your first aid kit, your get home bag, always include a copy of your most important information, your contacts, and any life-sustaining medication that you take. There are a lot of new medical concerns that we have due to the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic. Take this as the time to organize your first aid supplies, have the things you need, and be able to take care of your family with this extra step during these difficult times. It's up to us to be the first line of defense that makes sure that we can make the best of any situation that we encounter. And one of those ways is with a well-stocked first aid kit. If you liked my video, I hope you'll share it with someone else who might enjoy it. Learn more at alaskagranny.com, and please subscribe to the Alaska Granny channel.